Hey guys, what's going on? I'm your host, TheJuan&Only, and if you're in the market for a high-end Android phone in 2023, well really there's no shortage of options to choose from. But if you're looking for a device that offers top-of-the-line features without going overboard like the Samsung S23 Ultra's pricing, then you have decent options with the Samsung S series phones, which have always been a reliable choice. However, with the release of the latest S23 and S23 Plus, which debuted back in February, the decision isn't quite as simple anymore. The battle for supremacy in the Android market is heating up, and Samsung's S series phones are facing stiff competition from worthy contenders. For example, the latest Pixel phones from Google are a great example of this. They offer a range of high-end features such as a high-resolution display, premium build quality, and a flagship-level chipset, which were previously only available on S series phones, but at a lower price point. The S23 starts at $799 and the S23 Plus starts at $999. Meanwhile, the Google Pixel 7 starts at $599, a lot lower than the S23, and the Pixel 7 Pro starts at $899, effectively making it $100 cheaper than the S23 Plus. That makes it a very tempting option for those on a budget. So, what's new here with the S23 line? Long story short, not much. This is the definition of an incremental upgrade, but for those wanting to upgrade, it's still worthwhile to check in and see what's new here. So guys, today we'll be taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy S23 and Galaxy S23 Plus. So, after about 3 months in, what are my thoughts? Stay tuned as we go over everything that's new, as well as my honest thoughts and opinions for those potentially considering on upgrading. So without further ado, let's get things started. Alright, the Galaxy S23 and S23 Plus may not be groundbreaking updates to Samsung's flagship line, with only incremental improvements in terms of chipset, battery size, as well as a few minor cosmetic changes, and of course to the camera department, can't miss that. However, despite the lack of significant changes, the S23 and S23 Plus still outshine the competition in terms of overall quality and user experience. The Pixel 7 series from Google provides formidable competition, but Samsung's devices remain the best choice for high-end Android phone buyers in the United States and internationally. Nonetheless, Samsung should strive to innovate in the next iteration of the S series to retain their position as the top choice, lest they risk being overpowered by their rivals in years to come. So like I said, the Galaxy S23 starts at $799, while the larger variant, the S23 Plus, starts at $999, and they are effectively the same exact phone, other than, of course, the differences in their sizes. Samsung streamlined the color options this year, keeping them the same across all three Galaxy S23 models. That means the Galaxy S23 line comes in Phantom Black, Cream, Lavender, and Green. The Samsung S23 and S23 Plus don't stray too far from the formula of their predecessors. They're essentially the same phones with just a few upgrades. The S23 has a 6.1-inch screen and a smaller battery, while the S23 Plus boasts a larger 6.6-inch screen and a bigger battery. The camera array on the back remains unchanged aside from a few cosmetic changes, which we'll discuss in just a few seconds. And we still feature the same robust IP68 water resistant rating. So dunking this in your community pool for a few seconds should make it so that your phone is just fine. And of course we have that awesome high quality display with now tougher glass, which should help in the event of an accidental drop. Immediately what you'll notice is on the backside panel, and that is because Samsung has taken a cue from the S23 Ultra and opted for a cleaner, sleeker look without the camera bump of the prior iteration. The result is a phone that looks and feels great in the hands. I honestly was not a fan of the camera bump from the prior version, so this is a welcome addition and makes the phones appear more pristine in nature. It's clear that Samsung is focused on delivering an aesthetically pleasing product that delivers in all the right areas. With their aluminum frames and the latest Gorilla Glass Victus, the S23 and S23 Plus boast a premium look and feel, and honestly feel really good in the hands. If you haven't held one yet, you have to. They feel great. The flat screens are complemented by slightly curved side rails, which set them apart from the competition, something like the iPhone, which is very boxy and squared off in nature. When testing the phones without a case, I found them to be secure in my hand, although the S23 Plus is a bit of a stretch to use one-handed. The S22 and S22 Plus's displays differed slightly in specs, but Samsung has standardized them this time around. Both the S23 and S23 Plus have a peak brightness of 1750 nits in bright outdoor lighting, with the S23's peak brightness now matching that of its larger sibling, something that the S22 did not do. They also have a 1080p resolution and variable refresh rates up to 120 Hz. The refresh rate drops as low as 48 Hz to save power depending on what you're doing on the phone, but the S23 Ultra can go even lower, as low as 1 Hz. On paper, the 1080p resolution doesn't sound all too impressive, but here on this gorgeous Samsung display, it does the job just fine, trust me. If you want a crisper, sharper display though, you'll have to fork up even more of your hard-earned cash for something like the Galaxy S23 Ultra, which I already reviewed. If you want to see that video, click the card at the top right or check the video description. Beneath the display, the phones feature a fingerprint sensor for biometric authentication. While it's not the speediest scanner on the market, I didn't have any major issues with it. It's fast enough for me. It may struggle with wet fingers, but that's a common problem across most fingerprint scanners. Once I set up Face Unlock though, I didn't need to use the fingerprint scanner as often, and either biometric method worked quickly enough for me. The battery is the only significant difference between the S23 and S23 Plus aside from screen size. Both phones have larger batteries than last year's models, with the S23 featuring a 3900 mAh battery and the S23 Plus packing a whopping 4700 mAh battery. Both models support 15-watt Qi wireless charging, but the S23 Plus can charge up to 45 watts with a wired charger, while the S23 tops out at 25 watts. Unfortunately, there's no charger included in the box, which is pretty common now in 2023, and yes, it does suck. And on top of that, you'll need a Samsung approved fast charger to achieve those fast charging speeds. I won't go too in depth about battery life, seeing as I recently released my official Samsung Galaxy battery drain test for 2023. You guys seem to love my drain test, so if you want a better idea how well you can expect these to perform with real world usage, I highly recommend you check that video out. Again, card at the top right or check the video description. But one of the most impressive aspects of the Galaxy S23 lineup this time around is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy system on a chip, which all models share. Despite its convoluted and unnecessarily long name, the performance is nothing short of excellent. The Galaxy S23 Plus in particular is a powerhouse thanks to the special overclocked version of the chip exclusive to the S23 series. This is especially apparent while gaming and looks best on the larger S23 Plus display, which can achieve a steady 60 frames per second at max setting on even the most demanding games. The UI feels smooth, and to this day it has never given me any hiccups. It's quite remarkable how speedy these phones feel when having them in the hand. Aside from battery and performance, our other minor tweak is in the camera department. The Galaxy S23 and S23 Plus shares the same camera system as the prior model, featuring a 50 megapixel primary sensor, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and 10 megapixel telephoto with a 3x optical zoom. While the telephoto is useful for portrait mode, it struggles to maintain a higher shutter speed in dim lighting and may produce blurry images of moving objects. The Pixel 7 Pro, on the other hand, has a more practical camera setup, including a 5x camera for distant subjects and a 2x crop from the primary sensor for portraits. The S23 line records video up to 8K 30 frames per second with 4K and 1080p options available. While the standard camera app tends to produce over-brightened and flat clips, the Pro Video mode allows users to adjust the shadows, highlights, contrast, saturation, and more. Additionally, the combination of optical and electronic image stabilization is effective at smoothing out jerky movements and makes them a lot smoother. All in all though, that's really all there is new here. Samsung seems to have found some comfort in its familiar formula with the S23 and S23 Plus. They made minor design changes, introduced a new great chipset, and improved battery performance and slightly tweaked cameras. And by the way, the front-facing camera now increases to 12 megapixels versus 10 megapixels from the prior version. Although these are helpful upgrades, there is a danger in becoming too complacent, especially when you currently dominate a market. Currently, the 6.1-inch S23 is the best reasonably sized Android phone in the US, as most other Android phones available are somewhat on the larger side. The device is excellent with a battery that outlasts its predecessor by almost a full day. The Pixel 6a is a great alternative, but it isn't a flagship phone. As for the S23 Plus, the situation is more complex since the Pixel 7 Pro is right alongside it. Both phones come with 256 gigabytes of storage right out of the box, but the Pixel 7 Pro can regularly be found on sale for around $850. But the Pixel offers 12 gigabytes of RAM compared to the S23 Plus's 8 gigabytes. Additionally, the Pixel 7 Pro has a more functional 5x telephoto camera, better software out of the box, and a slightly larger, higher resolution display. For those who don't want to deal with Samsung software and want the most screen for their money, the Pixel 7 Pro is indeed a better option. To sum up, the Galaxy S23 line are some of the best Android phones within their price range. They deliver top-notch cameras, displays, and battery life performance, and its graphics performance is also noteworthy. But as impressive as these devices are, I can't help but feel that Samsung put more emphasis on the Galaxy S23 Ultra, which cost $1,200 here in the States. If you own a Galaxy S22 or even an S21, it might be best to hold onto your device for now. However, if you're using an older device, such as the Galaxy S20 Plus or earlier, you'll likely appreciate the significant improvements in the S23 Plus's chipset, battery life, and camera. Although the Galaxy S23 Plus's $1,000 price tag might be steep, there are other fantastic devices out there like the $699 OnePlus 11 and the brand new $499 Pixel 7a that offers tremendous value for their price point. But if you're looking for a large screen without the Ultra's high price tag, the Galaxy S23 is a solid choice. But guys, what do you think? I think here the Galaxy S23 is in a unique position, having flagship features and enough fancy bells and whistles, all while maintaining a smaller footprint. The S23 Plus is more of a question mark, seeing as how for $200 more, you can snag the Ultra. In the end, the choice is yours, and for any of my viewers who are devout Android fans, please drop your thoughts down below. I'd love to get a conversation started. That's been it for now, guys. I'm super stoked that I'm graduating later today for the 4th time, so I may be MIA for a few days before starting up my regular uploading schedule. Until next time, guys, don't forget to stay hydrated, and with that, I'm clocking out for now, but I cannot wait to catch you all in my next video.